I'm glad to see everybody in such a good mood. Please sit down. And I wanted to do this announcement today at City Hall, talking to the city employees. It seems like the right way to do it. I spoke to the employees in this room exactly 12 years ago after the election, and the feelings were a little different. And for those of you who hung in here, you took 10% wage cuts, you had your health care cut, you had your pension cut, and as we stood in this room in November of 2013, you told me you were going to have the Thanksgiving and Christmas season with your family asking you, are you going to be laid off? Are you going to lose your job? And I asked you then to hang with us, that we needed you to stay here while others were leaving. And it was hard. 1,000 people a month were moving out of the city. 3 council people left in a matter of 3 months. We lost a 4th a few months later. But you stayed for the people of the city of Detroit who stayed. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. The men and women of the police department, I don't even know what to say. You were working for $15 an hour on mandatory 12-hour shifts in the city with the highest homicide rate in the country. And you stayed with us. The men and women of the fire department, you remember what it was like. Your rigs broke down on the way to scenes. You were in firehouses where the roofs were leaking. And there were times it took an hour to make an EMS run. And you stuck with us. And today, we have a police department that's one of the most respected in all of America, with the fewest homicides in 60 years, right? A fire department where the firefighters got cross-trained as medical responders, and we're now to an EMS run in 7 minutes and 30 seconds, as fine a record as there is in the country. And to all the other employees, you remember what it was like. If you went on your computer, the Microsoft was 8 generations old. You couldn't even open attachments, you remember? That's if your computer worked at all. But it is a very different situation today. And today is a day for thank yous. To my family, my wife, Sonia. My mom, Joan, is here. My son, Ed, my brothers, Jim and Dan. When you're in public service, your family is in public service with you. To the members of the cabinet who have overcome enormous odds, when they signed up for a cabinet in a bankrupt city, they weren't sure how it was going to work out for their careers. But they've done a terrific job. The members of City Council who have been full partners in Detroit's recovery for the last 11 years, thank you for what you have done. My friend, County Executive Warren Evans, who has been with us shoulder to shoulder from day one, to the business community and the labor community. Dan Gilbert from downtown, to the work he's done in the neighborhoods, the Illich family and what they did, and then bringing in Arn Tellem and the Pistons and having that entertainment center downtown. I could thank everybody. Gary Torgo with the new bank and apartments downtown, and Roger Penske with the Grand Prix, Bill Ford, the train station, GM with Factory Zero, Stellantis with the new plants, Emmett Moten bringing back the United Artists Building, the Carpenters building a new training center in the city of Detroit, and the electrical workers doing the same thing. It's been a lot of people who have done this together. The 176 Motor City Match businesses, right? They pulled plywood off 176 vacant buildings, and they're hiring 1,700 Detroiters. This is the way that we came back. And some from the outside will sneer at the neighborhoods. I'll tell you this, the 650 block club presidents in this city that have brought their neighborhoods back with enormous pride. You saw the University of Michigan report in 10 years, homeowners in this city have gained $4 billion in wealth as property values have doubled and tripled across the city. Thank you to everyone in the neighborhoods that made that possible. But mostly today, I want to say thank you to the people of the city of Detroit. Being a big city mayor is kind of rough in this country. I watched my fellow mayors in San Francisco and Minneapolis and Chicago get voted out after their first terms. I watched mayors in Nashville and Atlanta just leave after their first terms. But for 11 years, the people of the city have been kind and supportive. Every neighborhood I'm in, every church I'm in, every store I'm in, it has been truly remarkable. And I want to talk to the people who are with me in 2013. Malik Shabazz and Peggy Noble, who were there when nobody thought I could do this. But and Akila, thank you. You right on cue. But in 2013, I was a kid who grew up in Detroit and remembered the city as a magical place and thought I could help. And I decided to go house to house and talk to people about how I thought I could fix the street lights and do the abandoned houses. And I did these house parties. 250 people opened their homes, and I sat in living rooms, and I thought we were going to talk about the drug houses in the neighborhood. Peggy hosted the third one. But when I got into those living rooms, the conversations were not what I expected. And they transformed me. But you know what the conversations were about? Most times, I drove myself to every one of these, and most nights I was the only white face in the room. And I talked to people across generations, and they didn't want to talk so much about the city. They wanted to tell me their story. And night after night, I heard the most powerful stories from our seniors growing up in the Jim Crow South, and to hear firsthand the stories of the separate bathrooms and drinking fountains, and yes, the back of the bus and the treatment they had received in the South. How when they came up to Detroit in the 40s and 50s, they weren't ready for the discrimination they received in neighborhoods they weren't allowed to move into, and jobs they were passed over for, and the treatment at the hands of police officers. And as this generation built this city and built their homes, they watched it be taken away from them with the financial and economic collapse of the city of Detroit. But mostly what they wanted to talk about was, could somebody who looked like me really understand their pain and their history and really support their aspirations? They were the most powerful meetings I've ever been in. And of course, I'm not shy. Right? As I sat in these meetings and I said, we can get back to a great city, but it means we got to let go of us versus them politics in the city. The mayor's got to stop fighting with the council and the unions. We got to stop fighting with the suburbs and Lansing. We got to stop attacking the business community. We have to have a city where everybody is welcomed and valued. It can't matter if you're black or brown or white, or you're Christian or Jewish or Muslim, or you're gay or straight. We have to build a city that's welcoming to everybody, and if that's not what you want, I said, don't vote for me. And I had a night, these were rough conversations. I had a night where a lady started in on me and had a very powerful story of growing up in Jim Crow, Mississippi, and the way she was treated. And then the way her family was denied a house in a neighborhood in Detroit. And the way her father couldn't get the good jobs he wanted, got the menial jobs. And I'm listening, and I'm thinking the pain, and she's looking at me trying to figure out what to make of me. And I thought, this is too hard. The racial pain and division in the city is too historical. It runs too deep. I'm just not going to be able to get past it. And when I got up at the end of that night to walk away, that lady came up to me. She took my hand like she had an iron grip. And she looked me in the eyes, and she says, I'm 80 years old. She says, and I haven't voted for a white man for mayor in 50 years. She said, but I'm going to vote for you. And I thought, you can see what's wrong in the country. The hatred and division is coming from the fact we don't take the time to get to know each other, to listen to each other. That's true in Lansing. That's true in Washington. And I thought, maybe this is something special. But, of course, you remember what happened. I got thrown off the ballot for filing my signatures too early, right? I went up north. Peggy rounded up a group of people and protested outside the Court of Appeals like they were going to reverse their decision. People were honking. She says, you got to try a write-in. I didn't even know how write-ins worked. I said, all right, I can't let folks down. So I came back and said, we'll try this write-in. And then they found this barber, Mike Duggan. And they were going to cancel my votes on the write-in. And I said, this is going to be too hard. But every place I went in the city, people were shouting out the spelling of my name. They were calling radio stations, singing jingles. And when those results came in that primary, I carried 92% of the precincts in the city of Detroit. A large part of who I am today was shaped in those living rooms in 2013. And I will be forever grateful for the people who had the courage to open their hearts to me and make me understand. I stood here in January of 2014, and I said, I want to be judged by one thing. Is the population of the city of Detroit going up, or is it going down? And I had a lot of people say, that's crazy, don't do that. But I didn't actually run to fix streetlights and pave roads. I wanted to change the direction of this city. I watched with pain as everything was taken away from us over those decades. And so this April, when 750,000 people poured into Detroit for the NFL draft, and I saw Detroiters mixing with outstate Michigan folks, mixing with cheeseheads and people from all over the country in that amazing event, and saw Detroit get the kind of national celebration it deserved. And then 1 month later, the Census Bureau released a report, and for the first time since 1957, the population of Detroit is officially growing again. And so, as I thought about it, I realized that I had done what I set out to do. This really was what I wanted to contribute. And here's what else I know. There is a huge amount of leadership talent in this city. There is leadership talent among our elected officials, among our clergy, among our business community, among our neighborhood community. There is talent in this city that can continue the recovery of Detroit and have it extend to more people and be more inclusive in where we're going. And so, with that realization, I realized it's time. And so today I wanted to be here with the employees to tell you that it's time. So today is not going to be about my future. I'm going to discuss that in the coming months, but I am here to say that I will not be a candidate for re-election for mayor of Detroit in 2025. We are going to see that talent emerge. And I don't have a favorite candidate. I don't have somebody that I picked out. I'm going to be like the other Detroiters. I'm going to watch these candidates emerge and see who the right leader is. Somebody will continue to bring us together. Somebody will have the courage to tell you the truth about what you can do and what you can't do. But here's what I know for sure about this city. The next mayor is coming in a far better place. There's not, right? There's not 47,000 abandoned houses in this Detroit. We're down to 3,000, and LaJuan's knocking that number down every single week. We're not billions of dollars in debt and bankruptcy. We've had 10 straight balanced budgets, an investment-grade credit rating, and we're leaving the city with $500 million in reserves in the rainy day fund and the retiree protection fund. This city is prepared to weather what comes. And so I am very confident in our city's future. So as I say, I'm going to talk about my future some weeks in the future, but today I want to talk about the city. Because all of us here, as soon as this ends, we're going back to work. All right? We got 13 more months to go. And we do have a new president, and that's going to be a challenge. We were very fortunate in that Joe Biden is the best friend Detroit ever had in the White House.
That's right.
But Donald Trump promised that when he became president, crime was going to go down in Detroit and economic development was going to increase. And so we're going to see whether that was serious, and I'm going to start by looking for common ground. And we will go from there. But I am going to make sure that we reset the direction of the city. And for everybody here who has done so much, we got to go back to taking down the abandoned houses and filling out the Joe Louis Greenway, building the new rec centers and the streetscapes, bringing jobs to the city. And we are going to continue to do what we're really focused on right now, which is bringing in the companies and the jobs for the young people. We've got to be the city that keeps our talent. I really believe Michigan's greatest export is not cars right now. It's our young people. And the city of Detroit is taking the lead in creating a community where that young talent wants to stay, and we're going to be doing that every day for the next 13 months. But I just want to say now to my fellow Detroiters that being your mayor has been the honor of a lifetime. I will forever be grateful. Thank you, and God bless you.